Quack.
This trailer gives me the shits.
Quack.
Another hole in the boat.
Well, that makes for an interesting morning. And the clip that I just took, I'll show you next. But I'll tell you how it happened. So maybe the same thing doesn't happen for you. But we were coming into this boat ramp here. This is the one at Rathmines, at the hard stand. And we're dropping the boat in the water. Now the roller on the back left-hand side, the driver's side right at the back, doesn't work very well. So I had it pretty deep in the water to not scrape the bottom along that roller, which was actually missing when we pulled the boat off. But I had a couple of people here that were pulling the boat off for me, and they sort of had it side on. And they said, righto, you can go. And so I moved off, and as I moved off, one of the guide rollers, one of the vertical ones, on the back of the trailer came up and punched the bottom middle of one of the hulls. So, but I didn't notice that, of course, because I went and parked the ute over here to work on the rollers. And I came back to the boat to take it over to the F jetty over there. And I noticed that there was a bit of a list, is the term, where the boat's sitting sort of on one side just a little bit. And then as I was just looking at it, the list was getting greater and greater. No time for a photo or a video. So I grabbed the keys and I ran over to the ute as quick as I could. Grabbed the ute back in the water, pulled the boat out, and lo and behold, she started draining. Not good. Yeah, I'm going to consider this a bad thing. That's not supposed to be there, I'm guessing. Bugger. So there's a reason that's there. And I'll get into that story in a moment, I guess. The water's supposed to be outside the boat, not inside the boat. Oh, just not having a win this weekend, are we? And that thing there is what punched the hole in the bottom of my boat. Bloody hell. Bugger. Yeah, so here we are. And after about 15 minutes of water draining, that's all the water there. Well, not all the water, because it sat over there for about 10 minutes. I didn't want to move it until most of the weight was out of the boat. And here's our hole. Can you see that? There we go. Not good. And the offending item is this guide roller here. I need to come up with a better way. This one here, which is supposed to be vertical, but this part of the pin roller here is what's punched the hole in it. Now I've let it just stay on there for now, proud, even though it's bent the guide, because I need to still change this roller here. And at the moment this roller is, make sure I don't crack my back, I just hurt my shoulder before slipping over on the ramp. So this ramp roller needs to be replaced. I'm going to pull the pin out, smack it with a hammer a few times. But look, I'm sure that's not going to be a difficult repair, just probably better if it didn't happen in the first place. Anyway, I don't want to move it anywhere until I've got all the water out of it. Don't need any extra weight on. Just 2 sets of rollers instead of 3. Alright, part A, the repair. Well, about a week after we punched a hole in it, went over to Phil's place. Thank you very much, Phill, for the invite. And being as logical and methodical as he is, wrote out a list of everything we need to do. And I got to help a bit by cutting out the section and sanding around the outside of it, making sure that it was square and tidy and well prepared. I'd never done this before, so this was a really good opportunity for me to learn how to not only own a boat but look after it. I didn't realise the hull was actually so thin, and here's Phill ever so carefully just chipping away with a chisel and slowly beveling the 4 edges. This was really good for me to watch. I took a lot of photos because I just thought it was fascinating. And I have to say, the Hawkesbury trip that I did, I saw a lot of debris in the river, and I was damn lucky that I didn't hit a submerged tree or a log or something and punch a hole in this boat on the Hawkesbury. Look at this. I know these photos are going fast, but Phill is just absolutely magic at taking his time, getting it right, sanding, testing, shaving, trimming, pressing, testing again. He just made sure that this was all going to work perfectly. Taped it up to make sure it was nice and tidy before he mixed any resin up. And 5 to 1, he mixed up the epoxy and the hardener. And I'd only seen this a couple of times before, I'd never done it. The right safety equipment's really important. So at Cuddles, you got to stop and have puppy cuddles as well. But this adding this fairing compound here turns the epoxy into a glue, and a very good glue too. So having a quick cure system means that we could press this into place. But our biggest problem after this was it's going to take a couple of hours to set. But Phill had the answer. There was a pub just down the street, the Hawkesbury Brewery, and $22 for an absolutely beautiful burger and a beer. And we're back putting some heat on the last part of the repair. And then this tungsten blade scraper, instead of sanding, just use the tungsten blade just to take away any excess resin, and then put another couple of coats of resin over the top of it again after a bit of a sand. The inside got a coat of fiberglass, so he puts down this this sheet of like satin type material, and then a fiberglass on top of that, and then presses it in. So I had absolutely full confidence that this repair was going to be perfect, because I went out for a test sail anyway, but I didn't even check the hull because Phil's work was just impeccable. And I knew that this repair was A1, and we were back on the water. Well, it's beautiful out here this afternoon. She's missing it because she's asleep. But all behind me's clouded over. I got just a little bit of sunshine coming through the clouds over Rathmine's fishing point there. So we're off to a rough start this morning, but we're just making our way back at about 2 knots with a slight tailwind. Here comes a bee. I wonder what he wants. He might think I'm a flower. But you see, this was just the first 2 chapters in a much bigger story. So we had an absolutely magnificent day at Lemon Tree Passage. If you didn't go, you missed out. We We had a beautiful day on Port Stephens. Bit windy, but that's what you want when you're sailing. And thanks guys for turning up. But look at this.
This trailer gives me
Look
the
at
shits.
this mess. Here we are, back at the beginning of the story. Water pouring
Another
out
hole
of the
in the
boat.
boat.
What have we done here? Misaligned it again, punched a hole in the bottom. But this time, I've got the confidence to fix it. Step one, went and saw my mate Jim, who's got an Aqupuncture, lifted the boat up, pulled out the offending vertical strut, the remaining one, had to pull the boat down on the springs and then wedge it up a bit higher to get the strut out, and then use this orange strap to pull it across. That was a mission in itself. The car jack to create some space between the rollers and the hole, and then trim it out, and most importantly dry it out. And this is why I couldn't make the bourgeoisie event, because this hole really needed to dry out. I couldn't cut corners on this. I had to trim and then measure and keep drying, because there was no work that could be done until this had completely dried out. Went and bought all the materials I needed and used this quick set epoxy to coat both sides of the inner plate, proper PPE, and then a centre scalloped piece with a 1mm gap carefully trimmed out that went hard against this inner plate. Used a jack to press that into place and some fairing compound. I did get to make the dinner on the Saturday night with Mark and his friend, and then the next day, the Sunday, was out there putting on the outer plate, and then a coat of inner fiberglass and a coat of outer fiberglass that had 3 pieces of timber and 2 pieces of fiberglass to stop the water from coming in. Here's the test.
Alright, bit of good news. The JarCat's been sitting in the water for 4 hours now. Ducked into town and helped a mate move the fridge and come back. We're on the jetty. The F jetty at Rathmines here, and great news, there's no water. So successful job. I did freak out a little bit because I come in and I saw this bit of epoxy that was on the surface here. And I was like, oh no. But no, that's good news. I'm happy with that. There you go.
Alright, well that's the story so far. Let's hope there isn't a 4th chapter in this. We might finish on a happy ending. Thanks very much to Phill for giving me the confidence and the skills to do this repair, Sally for her patience, and Jim for the Aqupuncture. Thanks for watching, guys.